Hey guys, how's it going? So all of you must be aware of what's happening right now in our country, and also globally with the Black Lives Matter movement, the protests that are happening here in Miami. They're happening in Fort Lauderdale. I also saw a friend of mine actually went to protest in Fort Lauderdale too. I've been really wanting to go, really wanting to be part of these protests, just show my support for for everything that's happening right now with the whole pandemic thing. I've been, trying to not go out as much, which has really been hard. And I've only been going out to exercise, to kind of get some sun and get some, natural air in my lungs because I've been home, you know, most of the week. I'm currently unemployed too, so that also adds to the stay at home thing. And I've been feeling a lot of anxiety due to everything that's been going on, the news. And I just wanted to kind of come on here, make a video. I haven't made a video in years. I wanted to make a video about this just to talk about this and create some open dialogue between me and people who I know, who are on my social media. And I want to hopefully, see what people are thinking and also vent a little bit because I feel like I've been going through so many emotions. I've been feeling so much anxiety again. It's not COVID, it's now the protests and all these things happening. I feel really strongly about this, especially as someone who has faced a lot of discrimination in their life. I'm not trying to say that I've gone through as much pain and hurt as the Black community. I'm not saying that, but I have been discriminated against because I'm gay. I'm a gay man. I've been stopped by the police I don't know how many times. Here in Miami, actually, I have been discriminated against by police because I'm gay. And again, I just want to show my support. I want to kind of bring my input to this movement, to the things that are happening right now. And I do have to say something that's really been on my mind and that I've been seeing a lot on social media. I've been seeing it a lot on Twitter. The one thing that I keep seeing is things like, for example, Latinos basically making excuses or trying to downplay what's happening in the community. And it's really upsetting, especially because we are also a minority. I believe we also take up a big chunk of the population in the United States. And to make excuses and to downplay and to kind of make it seem that, the protesters are wasting their time, or that the protesters are, they're protesting incorrectly, they're looting, or whatever it may be. There's a quote that I read online from Martin Luther King that says something like, rioting is the language of the unheard. And we know that this has been happening for many, many years now. We've been seeing it on the news and we're constantly talking about it. We're constantly sick of hearing about it, but it's happening. It's happening. And with the recent events that have happened, especially the death of Mr. George Floyd and the way that he died, it's sparked up these riots and these protests. In a way, I think that they're necessary. I think that they are necessary. And I'm a person of sound mind. I don't believe in violence. I'm not a violent person, but I think that these things need to happen. The government, the politicians, people who keep saying, we're going to make the community better and we're going to help the community, they're not really doing anything. And so these people, especially the Black community, the Afro-Latino community, are sick and tired. They're sick and tired of lies, of being told lies by the government and by politicians, being told that things are going to get better when they're actually not going to get better, lives being lost over and over again because of the things that are happening, because of the police. And can I just say that I'm completely backing up the decision to defund the police. I think that the police should be defunded. I actually did look at the amount of money that they receive, I think on a yearly basis, I think it is, I'm not sure. And I think they receive a lot, way too much funding. It's ridiculous how much funding they get. I think the number was like 6 trillion or something like that. I'm not sure. 6 billion. I'm not sure. I think it was 6 trillion they receive a year for funds when these low income communities are not receiving anything. I think that those resources should better be sent to, fixing up the community, different communities, not just here in Miami, but places that actually really need these resources. I mean, honestly, what does the police really need with $6 trillion a year? But anyway, going back to, I'm kind of backtracking here. What I really find unconscionable and really despicable is when Latinos, okay, are downplaying this issue, okay? We also have been victims of discrimination. We have been victims of racism, okay? And for you to stand there and say that this is not a big thing, this is not a big deal, they're disgusting, they're thugs, they should be treated the way that they're treated, like, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. Because when it's our community, when it's someone who, let's say it's Cuban like me, who was killed or who was shot or whatever, then you're out there protesting. You're the first ones out there saying how the police is violent, how the police is disgusting, how their treatment of this person was wrong. So we need to put ourselves in those people's shoes. Those of you who are saying, oh, how can burning down a police station make things better? It's necessary. It's necessary. It's necessary for those people to do that at that moment in time because they're tired. They're really tired of seeing things happen over and over and over again to these people. There was a woman shot in her apartment, by a police officer. This teenage boy who was trying to get home was shot by a police officer and killed, point blank. There was another man outside of it was like a bodega or a gas station who was shot point blank. There were 2 police officers on top of him. He was not restraining. He was not resisting. Okay, he was on his stomach. He couldn't move. He had two police officers on top of him, and he was still shot. He was shot dead at that moment. They didn't call the ambulance. Nothing happened. He just died. So we need to hold these people accountable for their actions. It doesn't matter if they're cops. It doesn't matter, if they're, security guards, whatever it may be. These people have to be held accountable no matter what. If you murder someone, you have to be charged, convicted, and sent to prison because you killed someone. And I keep hearing this thing, I keep seeing it on social media about Latinos kind of downplaying the whole thing, downplaying the protest, downplaying the movement, downplaying even what happened, that he was a thug who that the police had the right to do that. And there was another quote that says, I want to look it up because I can't remember right now. It was a quote by Martin Niemöller. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It says, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I'm not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. So I think that as minorities, we need to come together and help and support. Because just like this can happen to someone who's Black or African American, it can also happen to a Latino. There are Hispanic and Latinos in cages right now. Children in cages. I keep remembering this video of this kid. It was like I don't know how long, I think it was like a 30-minute video, and it was like sped up of this kid, I'm guessing he was Mexican, in a cage, in a prison, dying. He had some kind of pre-existing condition and he died. He wasn't getting food, he wasn't getting water, and him in this empty room, sitting in a cold floor with like one of those, aluminum blankets. This is what's happening in this country right now. And I'm really tired of Latinos, okay? And I can't speak for Venezuelans, I can't speak for Colombians, I can't speak for Dominicans, and I can't speak for Puerto Ricans, but I can speak for Cubans. And Cubans have sort of habit of throwing everybody else under the bus. As long as it doesn't affect you, it doesn't matter. This is just my opinion. I think, and I've never heard a conversation about this, and I think that this is also a conversation that we need to have. I think that Cubans have a bit of entitlement. I think that they think, maybe not all Cubans, but I think maybe the higher class Cubans, the upper class, they think that they have this sort of entitlement because they're not, let's say, dark-skinned. I think that Cubans came here, they had this wet foot, dry foot thing, okay? Wet feet, dry feet policy, or wet foot, dry foot policy, which was the name given to a former interpretation of the 1995 revision of the application of the Cuban Adjustment Act of 1966 that says that anyone who immigrated from Cuba and entered the United States would be allowed to pursue residency a year later. So I think that whole thing gives Cubans sort of like this entitlement. Anything else that happens outside the spectrum of their life that doesn't affect them, they don't care. And I've only seen it, again, I can only speak from a Cuban's point of view because I'm Cuban, my parents are Cuban, and I'm mostly around Cubans. And I keep hearing this dialogue. I've been hearing it for years now, and I'm so sick of it. And I think they have this sort of feeling, if it doesn't affect me, this thing that's going on right now with the protest, because it doesn't affect me, why am I going to give my time? Why am I going to protest? Why am I going to say anything? Why am I going to talk against it? Against the acts of the police, if it doesn't really affect me? Well, guess what? It affects you. It does affect you. Especially if you're dark-skinned, or you're not white, or you can barely speak English. We've also seen discrimination in this country against Mexicans, Mexican-Americans, Latinos in general. So it does affect you. The fact that you don't want to talk against it or talk about it, for example, makes you a culprit of what's happening. So you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I can securely say that there's a lot of racism within the Latino community, within the Cuban community, okay? Because you think that because your skin is lighter, you think that you're better. You're not better. Discriminating against someone who has darker skin than you does not make you a better person. It makes you a horrible person. It makes you racist. It makes you prejudiced. The color of your skin does not make you smarter, doesn't entitle you to the rights that maybe others don't have, doesn't make you more elegant, doesn't make you better in any way. It makes you a fool. And in my own family, I've seen this. And again, as a gay man, I've been the target and the victim of discrimination. I know how it feels for people right in front of you to say how your feelings don't matter, how you're less than because of who you are. And I'm tired of it. Because of the color of your skin, you're not the best. Voting for Trump, standing out there at Versailles, waving the Cuban flag next to the American flag does not make you better. It makes you a culprit to all the things that are happening in the United States, all the things that Trump is saying, that he's letting happen. A lot of these people are being emboldened by the things that he's saying, all these racists, which also happen to be in the police. Just because you're a police officer does not mean that you're not a racist. You also have your own ideals. So there can be racism in the police. My message here is to say that if you're a Latino, white, brown, black, whatever, try to open your mind, open your heart, because I think that this is also a matter of compassion and empathy for what is happening right now. I think that we're sort of, at least here in the United States, or I can't talk for any other countries because this is where I was literally raised my entire life. I've been here my entire life. I think that we have this mindset of you can't feel. Your feelings are not valid. What matters is your mind. What matters is what you think, not what you feel. And we have to go out there as people with rationale, people with common sense, people with empathy and compassion to change things, make things right. In my bones, I'm the kind of person that I want to help people. I want to be there for people, no matter the color of their skin. What matters is your integrity, your compassion, your ideals, your morals, the way you treat others. And I've seen this mostly from the Cuban community. I've spoken to people from other cultures, different countries, and I don't see that as much as in the Cuban community. I'm pretty sure that if you're Cuban and you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. And let me just say, throughout my entire life, what I've seen, this racism and discrimination, lack of empathy, has come from the Cuban community. And it needs to stop. Because guess what? The Cuban community, you all fled Cuba, right? To come here to the United States to make your lives better. But then here you are voting and supporting a racist, someone who's had people come out and say that he's assaulted them, sexually assaulted them. But then you have the nerve to make excuses for him, make excuses for the Republican Party, make excuses for racists, make excuses for police brutality. So it needs to stop. And I recently watched a video. It kind of made me also want to make this video. And it was young Cuban-Americans saying that they vote for Trump because he's helping the Cuban community. He's not helping the Cuban community. He could care less about the Cuban community. The only thing that he cares about is himself. Politically and personally, he only cares about himself. Voting for him is not going to raise you up. You're not going to see funds coming to Versailles, coming to Bicky Bakery. He's a racist. He's a misogynist. He's disgusting. He's divisive. The things that he tweets, they're immoral. And if you're standing there as a 20-year-old and you're saying that it's fine because it shows power and it shows strength, you have to stop and look inside yourself because you're just adding to the fire. So I wanted to make this video because I feel like I've been in this sort of like mood all these days. Ever since George Floyd, I've been in this mood and I keep seeing these things on Twitter and I keep, trying to distract myself and I keep going back to social media to see what's going on, the tweets that are going out. And I stumble upon this video and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So this needs to stop. It needs to end. Enough is enough. I'm going to keep saying it and I'm going to keep protesting my way. I can't really be out there right now, but I'm going to keep protesting my way. I'm going to keep posting and I'm going to keep writing and I will go out there and I will vote because these things need to change. This is a real problem in this country. And if it's happening with the Black community, it can also happen with the gay community. What impacts one impacts all of us. This is something that needs to be understood. I'm not sure if I'm going to make any videos, but I really just needed some way to speak about this. I've been kind of venting sort of for days to my family, but it's just not enough. I really need to come on here and make this video and talk about this because this is something that's really affecting me. It's really hurting me. I may continue making videos. I will continue posting. I think conversation is great. I think we can see the other person's perspective. Thank you if you watch this. Thank you so much. And if you guys want to, have a conversation or you want to, text me or call me or whatever, you can do so. I'm here. I think it's great to talk about this. I think it's a great way to vent. We're feeling so much at the same time. So please, if you want to talk to me about this, get together on Zoom, please do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.